We're in August now. Colin Kaepernick still hasn't been signed by an NFL team. I was hoping by this point in time he would have been. To me, he's at least a top 50 or 60 quarterback in the league. Even though he's not great, he's not even very good, he's better than some of the other scrub backups you're going to see throughout the league. He should have a job by now. And we all know why he doesn't. It's bullshit, but it's the way it is. And frankly, Kaepernick put himself in that position by choosing to protest in a year that was preceding an impending free agency, and then he ultimately chose to exercise his option to get out of his contract. Honestly, fair or not, Kaepernick ultimately only has nobody but himself to blame right now that he currently doesn't have an NFL job because he boxed himself into a corner and put himself in this damn position. But with that said, you'll occasionally get the report of this team or that team thinking about looking for a backup quarterback, and is Kaepernick going to garner any interest from them? And a recent team in this area was the Baltimore Ravens. And it's not that surprising that Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti is talking about he's getting a lot of fan backlash from people that are disappointed with the organization. They would consider Kaepernick and they don't want him to sign Kaepernick. Now, frankly, I don't know if this is true or not. It very well could be and probably is, but there could be a part of it that Steve Bisciotti, the owner, just doesn't want to deal with Colin Kaepernick. To which I say to the Ravens, if they don't want Colin Kaepernick, to Ravens fans who don't want Colin Kaepernick, you're a bunch of hypocrites. Now, let me get this straight. Colin Kaepernick's a bad guy because he chose to protest a national anthem that was written by a slaveholder that has some racist language in it the more you go into the verses of the song, that celebrates a flag that has represented a lot of bad to a lot of colored people in this country throughout its 240-plus year history. Because he didn't vote in the 2016 presidential election, because the media sensationalized this shit and made it the predominant story throughout the 2016 NFL season, because so many people get so brainwashed by military and government propaganda that to dare sit there and protest something like this automatically makes you a bad person. That's ridiculous. And people should be smarter than that, but I'm not surprised that they're not. But where the hypocrisy comes in is a lot of these same Ravens fans who are pissing, bitching, and moaning about Colin Kaepernick, a guy who's, best of my knowledge, never been arrested for anything, never been charged with any serious crime, never been convicted of any serious crime, never served any jail time. He's a bad guy, but Ray Lewis is your fucking hero that you celebrate and talk about being the greatest thing, and he is the ultimate Baltimore Raven. Need I remind you, let's take a little trip down memory lane. Following Super Bowl 34 at an after party, Lewis and the dudes in his group got into a fight with another group of men, and two guys were ultimately stabbed to death. Authorities found one of the victims' blood in Ray Lewis's limo. The white suit that he was wearing that night for that post-Super Bowl 34 party was never found. If he had nothing to hide and there was nothing wrong and he did nothing wrong, why did we never find his white suit and 17 years later still haven't? Use your freaking heads here. And then during the double murder trial, a couple of weeks in, ultimately Ray copped a plea to get out from under the murder charges so he could become a prosecution witness and stab his friends in the back by testifying against them, and pleading guilty to obstruction of justice, where he admitted his initial police statement that he was nowhere in the vicinity that night was a lie. Why did he feel the need to lie right then and there? He was caught up in a lie, proven in a lie. What else is he fucking lying about? To sit there and say, well, Ray was never convicted of anything, Ray never did anything, ding dong, dumb dicks, you're wrong. Clearly he did, hence the guilty plea for obstruction of justice. This is the same guy with 6 kids by 4 different women. Later on down the road, he set up funds for, I think, one or several of the kids of the 2 victims, that blood money, because he apparently felt fucking guilty. Ravens fans for years celebrated Ray Lewis, this alleged murderer, this potential murderer, like he was the greatest thing ever. And he was somebody to worship and somebody to look up to. He was a hero. Now, according to Ravens fans' logic, O.J. Simpson should still be a hero in the sense that he was never convicted of the double murders of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson in 1994. He was never convicted. All of these people that want to sit there and pitch a bitch about him, he was never convicted. But let me guess, because Ray Lewis sat there and, hell, if I beat a double murder rap, I would too. Oh, I found God. Oh, praise the fucking Lord. Hallelujah. He's a good guy. And Kaepernick's evil. Kaepernick's the devil. You want no part of Kaepernick, but how many of these fucking numbskull Ravens fans that are sitting there bitching about Kaepernick have Ray Lewis pictures in their house? Have worn and bought Ray Lewis jerseys over the years? Give me a fucking break. So the guy who, to the best of our knowledge, has never been arrested, charged, convicted with any type of serious crime whatsoever is a bad guy and a bad locker room influence, even though the San Francisco 49ers team voted him, I think, as like the teammate of the year in 2016. On the flip side, Ray Lewis, who got caught up in a double murder trial, who ultimately copped a plea and went snitch against his two friends, pleaded guilty to obstruction of justice because he was potentially afraid of there being a double murder conviction. This is the guy that you worship. This is the guy that is a hero to you. This is the guy that you think is the greatest Raven of all time and should be held high on a pedestal because ultimately he didn't kneel down during the national anthem, and ultimately because Ray Lewis sat there and hid behind the Bible. Oh, praise the fucking Lord. I'd be sitting there and saying Hail Marys all fucking day too if I was a murderer or an alleged murderer or a possible murderer and I beat the fucking rap. To sit there and say there was never anything on Ray Lewis is just completely and totally factually inaccurate. Where's his white suit? Are one of you Ravens fans fucking hiding it 17 years later? Why was the victim's blood in Ray Lewis's limo? And why, with the victim's blood being in Ray Lewis's limo, did he initially give a statement to the police saying, hey, I was nowhere in the area of the scene that night? But Colin Kaepernick's the bad guy? A mediocre NFL quarterback who clearly would be at least a better backup option for you than Ryan Jesus Christ Mallett is the devil. So we worship a potential murderer and we demonize somebody for exercising free speech rights. If that doesn't show the hypocrisy of some, obviously not all, Ravens fans in this particular case, I don't know what the hell does.